Welcome to Writing Resilience, the podcast for writers who want to write and live the story that sets them free. I'm your host, Lisa Cooper Ellison, a writer, transformational and trauma-informed coach, story alchemist, and fellow traveler on the winding road of healing and creativity. Each week, I'll share tools, practices, and conversations that will help you let go of what no longer serves you as you create stories that change lives, especially your own. Together, we'll explore how to trust your creative voice, support your mental health and resilience, work with your nervous system and unique design, and stay connected to your deepest calling as a writer, even when life gets messy. It's time, my friends, to write and live the story that sets you free. I'm honored to walk that journey alongside you, one story and one episode at a time. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Writing Your Resilience podcast. I am so glad to be here with you today. And if you are new to the podcast, I want to say welcome. My name is Lisa Cooper Ellison. I am your transformational and trauma-informed writing coach, and I am the host of this podcast. And today we are going to talk about pivoting. Specifically, how I am pivoting in my business in order to claim more of my writing life, and how you can use this process either to get clearer about what it is that you're trying to do, or if you're feeling that need to pivot in some way, and so many of us are, that you can use this process to pivot in your own writing life and that you can claim all of who you are. I'm also going to share one of my biggest worries. And so this is going to be a really heartfelt and I'm just feeling it in my heart right now, vulnerable episode for me because I'm sharing some things behind the scenes with you and I'm sharing ways that I'm changing. And oh my gosh, I'm excited about it, but also it does feel a little scary. So we're going to get into all of that during today's episode, but I'm going to begin with a quote that I want to use as the foundation for this conversation. And this is a quote by Mother Teresa. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. And I would say that our efforts aren't just the stone, but that we are the stone. And so we want to think about the pond that we're in and the ripples that we are creating in the world. And that gets to this need to pivot. So I want to start by giving you a little bit of history around this for me. So, I have known for a while that I am doing too much. Some of you may have wondered, how in the world do you do all of these things, Lisa? Well, part of it is that I have a lot of energy. I actually really do. I have almost, it feels like unlimited energy sometimes, though it actually is finite. And I learned that very clearly this summer. But I often have a lot of energy. I'm also a person who is very excited about life. I like to learn lots of things. And this is the first part that is feeling really vulnerable for me. And I am almost feeling like I'm going to tear up. Guys, I've been trying to prove myself to you and to everyone else for so long. I've wanted to prove that I'm of value, prove that I'm smart enough, prove that I have what it takes. And I've been running myself ragged as I've done this. And I want you to just pause for a moment and think about whether or not you've ever done that in your life or whether you're doing that right now. Is there a way that you are running yourself ragged to try to prove something related to your worth? It's hard for me to admit it, but it's the truth. And the only way we can change the truth is by first admitting it and then doing something about it. So that's the first piece. I've known that I've been doing too much. Also, I've had some shifting priorities, shifting interests, and shifts in the projects that I've been working on. One of those projects is a memoir about near-death experience, and specifically about growing up and having your whole life be predicated on this near-death experience that happened right at birth. So I don't talk about this a lot, but I died a few hours after birth. And I also had two other pretty profound near-death experiences very early in life that affected how I've lived my whole life and some of the things that I've had access to that I have divorced myself from at certain points in my life, but also that I haven't known how to talk about. And so this project is an opportunity for me to explore that and to claim the fact that I am a person whose whole life is predicated on a near death experience. And I'm trying to figure out what that means. And I'm claiming all of the ways that this creates strengths inside me and opportunities and things I'm actually good at that I didn't trust, right? One of those is my intuition. I am a highly intuitive person. I have so much intuition and I have discounted it for so long, and I'm not doing that anymore. And so I wanted to go through an intuitive process of really thinking about my business and thinking about everything that I'm doing. So, one thing that happened that was that intuitive piece is that I began to sense probably, if I'm really honest, I probably started sensing that late last year, but I really began feeling that in March of this year that I'm in the right pond. I know that I'm in alignment with my soul's purpose, but that perhaps either the stone that I'm tossing in the water or the way I'm tossing it isn't creating the ripples that I want in the world, or maybe not the exact ripples, right? So some of the ripples are what I want to create, but that there's a different way to do it. And so I wanted to explore that. And the final thing that I was thinking about is the fact that AI is changing our business. It's changing so much of the world. And it's really important to do what David Bowie says, which is turn and face the strange, because times will change me, but I can't change time, right? So I can't change the times that we're in, but I can think about how they're changing me and how I can be part of it. And this isn't a conversation about AI, right? We're not going to go down the AI rabbit hole, but I do want to say that one of the things you want to think about if you are in any kind of business is to think about how can you lean into your humanness and how can you do something that no one else is doing and that AI can't replace, right? So those are some of the things that I was thinking about in terms of needing to pivot and wanting to pivot and just feeling that inner call to pivot. So once I got clear in about March and April that, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to pivot in some way, I wanted to think about what are my guiding principles. And I love it when these things fall into my lap. So I had Amelia Hruby on my podcast earlier this year, and she has a podcast called Off the Grid. And one day I was just happened to be looking at the episodes, and something inside me said, watch this one. And it was an episode on pivoting. And in it, she shared the ways that she's pivoting, and she shared 3 guiding principles that she's using to pivot her business. So I'm going to share those with you, but I want to give her credit, and I will link to that actual episode in the show notes for this episode. So here are her 3 words: simple, specific, spiritual. As soon as I heard them, I knew they were the right words for me. So what does that look like? I wanted to think about how I could simplify what I offer and how I offer it, because when a few people have looked at my website and given me feedback, they've said, Lisa, there is a way that you are offering the kitchen sink, which makes it unclear what you're offering. So I knew that I needed to simplify that. And the way I'm going to simplify that is to be very specific. And so that's specific about what I offer, but also about the tasks that I do across the week, and to really analyze what is bringing me joy, what is bringing me ease, what is bringing me closer to my creativity, and what feels like things that drag me down. So I wanted to go through that whole process of evaluating that. And by the way, having a nearly complete rupture of your MCL where you have to sit on your couch and you can't do anything else provides the perfect opportunity for you to do that. So I spent July in a spiritual practice that would allow me to do that. because I wanted this to be a spiritual process, but I also wanted to think about how I could make the work that I do in my business more spiritual. And I want to be really clear about what I mean about this because I know that there are so many people who might be listening to this podcast who follow my other work who have experienced religious trauma. They have been harmed by some form of organized religion. And I want to be clear that I am sensitive to your needs, I'm sensitive to your fears, and that I will never do anything that encroaches on how you believe. Right. So when I talk about spirituality, I'm talking about how I make meaning from the world and how I help other people make meaning from the world and where we find hope. So I wanted to make sure that everything that I was doing was in alignment with how I make meaning and not just how I've made meaning over time, but how I make meaning right now and how that can be of highest service to everyone that I work with. And I also wanted to think about how I could increase the level of hope that I offer to other people, how I could empower people in a more profound way, and also how we could have more fun. Because one thing that I've noticed as a trauma informed writing coach is that I'm often confronted with heavy material. And I'm often working with people who are going through really tough things or who have experienced really tough things. And I will continue to do that work. But what I've learned over time is that there is a certain energy that we are imparting in our projects. And when we think about putting them out in the world, we want to be mindful of the energy that we infuse in that project. And the transformational ways that I work with people help to create an energy that feels good to you as the writer and also is of highest service to your audience. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help you have that right energetic vibration in your work and inside yourself so that you feel like you can claim who you are, that you can walk your authentic path, that you can speak your truth in a powerful and clear way, and that you can go after your goals, whatever those goals are. Just saying those things out loud feels really exciting to me. I feel it inside my bones. So that's what I want to offer people. And so that's why I went through that process. And that's what I mean by spirituality. So I went through this spiritual inquiry process and I thought about what I'm going to do, how that feels in my body, whether I'm claiming all of who I am, and where are my biggest yeses right now. And how can I help other people really tap into and understand what their yeses are? Because here's what I found from working with clients over time is that, especially for trauma survivors, if you've been told that how you feel is wrong or that you're making it up or that your experience of the world isn't real, it can skew your sense of what feels good to you, what your true yeses are, and what your nos are. And some of the most profound experiences of growth that I've had, both as a writing coach and that I've watched my clients have over time, is when they can say no and when they own their yeses. And this includes sometimes having clients who've said no to me, right? Maybe they've said, I know you want me to do this activity, but I'm not going to do it. I want to do this other thing. And I love it when that happens. Or when they say, you gave me this prompt, but I decided to do it in this other way. I love it. That is someone claiming their agency. And I want to give people more ways to do that because that is how we serve the world, not just by writing our stories, but by claiming the power in them, sharing that power with other people. So that's what I wanted to do. So I also thought about what symbols I could lean on that would help me get clear about what that is. And I also had to think about my tagline because I've had a tagline for a long time. And, when you're in business, you should have one. And a tagline is just the shortest version of what you do. And I would invite all of you, if you're writing, come up with a tagline. And shoot, if you're not writing and you're just listening to this because you want to tap into your resilience, think about what the tagline is for your life and how you can live into it. So I thought about all of that. And I also had to think about, and this is the scariest part, what I was willing to give up. So I had to think about all of these things. And I thought about them through the lens of simple, specific, and spiritual. So I want to talk first about claiming your truth, claiming all of who you are. When you, as a writer, do this, you are really setting a clear path. You are tapping into your inner compass and you are using that information to set a clear and authentic path for yourself. So, I want to give you some examples of a couple of people who do this really well. So, Tia Levings, she is a client of mine. She wrote A Well Trained Wife, which is a New York Times bestseller. And I am always so excited for her and so proud of her. She has worked so hard and has done so many amazing things. It has been wonderful to watch her blossom. And this is what she shares. I shine light on the abuses of Christian fundamentalism and offer contextual insights into the true horrors of religious trauma. That's what she does. And her tagline is Be Foxy, not Fundy. And Fundy is short for fundamentalist. It's pretty clever. She has a fox. That is her logo. And it all works together, right? To be foxy about who you are and to live into your foxy magnificence. Janine Willette, who has the Writing in the Dark Substack. She also wrote The Part That Burns. That is a beautiful award-winning memoir that she wrote. And here's what she has to say. Writing saved my life, so I teach writing as if it might save yours. So powerful and so clear, right? So I want you to think about as you are working on your own projects and you're thinking about the work that you do in the world, what are those clear things you can claim for yourself that you do that feel true and aligned for you? They are part of your yeses. So I thought about what these people I know do, and then I thought about my own experience. And here's what I came up with. I'm an alchemist. The idea of alchemy, which is changing, metal into gold, changing one thing into something else, this transformational process is what I've been doing this whole time. Saying this out loud gives me chills because it is so real and so true. So what I do is I help people transmute pain and transform tough stories into art so that people can live more authentically and freer. And I do this by helping people make new meaning of their writing as they are working on beautifying their stories. To me, as a trauma informed writing coach and as an alchemist, I care that you are different as a result of writing your story. I actually care about that more than you get your story published. And of course, I care about you getting your story published. I know that's your goal. I respect that goal. I think it's an important goal. Shoot, it's my goal. And I feel like this other part is even more important because when you do that and when this transformational process of freeing yourself from whatever is keeping you stuck occurs, you are going to be your most powerful self and you're going to not just go after your goals, you're going to achieve them. And this was important to me because writing didn't just save my life. This is one of the things I have aligned with Janine Willette on forever, and that is that writing saves lives. I truly believe this, and it has saved my life in so many ways. Here's the most important thing. It has also set me free. It has set me free from the things that have hurt me. It has also set me free from the limitations I have placed on myself. So once I got clear about those things, I thought about the symbol. And actually, this was really cool. Just opening up to the idea that there's a symbol out there for me allowed me to see the symbol when it showed up in my life. And that symbol is the phoenix. I started hearing the word phoenix a few weeks before it showed up, but then I started seeing phoenixes everywhere online, started seeing it in things I was reading. And so the reason why the phoenix resonates with me so much is because if you know the story of the phoenix, and I'll put one of the versions of the story of the phoenix in the show notes for this episode, the phoenix is burned away and then it rises from the ashes. It is about rebirth and this powerful, fiery rebirth and coming into the strongest, most powerful version of yourself. This aligns with me as someone who is a triple fire sign. I am an Aries, Sagittarius, Sagittarius. That is who I am. So fire is one of my symbols. And rising from the ashes claiming that resilience and claiming that most powerful self just felt truly aligned. So that is my new symbol or logo, and I love it. I also started thinking about the tagline that I've used and how I could strengthen it based on this new understanding of how I do things so that it is more specific and more spiritual. My old tagline was teaching writers to write stories that change lives, especially their own. And that is what I have done for years. But now I want to really deepen that so that it is about that freedom. And so my new tagline is write and live the story that sets you free. It just opens things up in this new way that feels incredibly exciting. So here's what I would say to you. If you are just beginning a project or you are working on it, could you come up with a symbol or a logo? And it doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just some image that grounds you and helps you get really clear about what it is that you're doing. And could you come up with a tagline for yourself? Something that serves as this compass that helps you really think about, okay, this is where I'm trying to go. And if you're pivoting, what is that for you? So either way, you can work with these things, but I think if you're pivoting, this can be a very powerful way to do it. And it's also a lot of fun. And also, I'll just tell you, I used Canva a lot to come up with this and to play around with it. So use the tools that you have. All right. So once I got clear about my new logo and my tagline, I started thinking about both the why, why am I changing these things? I got a little deeper into that. And also, what will that look like? So, here are some things that have recently happened in my life that have impacted me. This is, I think, this moment of serendipity and synchronicity that I didn't even realize was going to change me as much as it has. So, back in January, Amy Robeson, who is an Akashic Records master teacher, contacted me, or her people contacted me about being on my podcast. And I had this immediate yes, that yes, she was supposed to be on my podcast, even though I didn't know how we were going to talk about the Akashic Records, because I always try to be really clear about the mission of this podcast. And so everything that I do on this podcast either has to help you further your resilience or your writing and or both, and ideally both. So I actually met with Amy to see how we could do this. We came to this place of just deep clarity. I really enjoyed meeting her, and I felt this special connection to her. So I took her class, and I am now a certified Akashic Records reader. And by the end of 2025, I will also be a certified Akashic Records healer. This work has been so much fun. And it has been so transformational for me. I just absolutely love this work. And I love seeing how playing in the records helps me with my writing and has helped other people with their writing in a way that is surprising. Like, that's what I love about it, is that it's always true and it's always surprising. That's the both and of it that I've really enjoyed. Also, back around March, I had this chance encounter with an email that came into my inbox. And like many of you, I get tons of emails and I can't read every single one of them. It's just not possible. But there was this one that stuck out from Mindy, who has Fairy Tale Social, and she shares lots of tips on content creation for social media platforms. And so I followed her for a while and I really like the way she does her newsletter. But there was this one post that she had on using ChatGPT and human design to plan her year. And there was something about it that said, read this email. And it was through this email that I was introduced to the concept of human design. And I decided to learn about it. And I actually got my human design, and it changed my life. It also changed my relationship with my husband, because suddenly I had this new framework for understanding both the things that we do well and the ways that we can be a great team, but also those places where we bump heads and maybe we don't always get along or we struggle. Because that's the truth about relationships. Sometimes they go really well, and then sometimes they're hard. And that's true for everyone. So, human design helped me do that. And what I loved about human design is it's very concrete, right? The Akashic records are a bit ethereal. It can feel like you're getting all of this information that feels true, but there's nothing on paper, there's nothing visual, there's nothing concrete about it. Human design is concrete. And I love marrying the two. And here are some things that I have learned from my human design that have been transformational. So I told you that at the beginning of this that I have been trying to prove myself in so many different ways because I've just truly wanted to be of value. And when I looked at my human design, I saw that this is an area of growth and work for me. And there are a few different ways that shows up. I am a very strong empath, so I tend to take on things from other people if I don't have good energetic boundaries. I've known this forever. And one of the things that I will take on is how someone else is feeling about themselves. But also, there are certain ways that we can have a design where we have a strong sense of our self worth all the time. And there are these channels or ways that we can prove our worth. And if we go down those channels or we funnel our energy in those ways, it will be successful. I don't have that in my chart. What I actually have is a chart that says you can't prove yourself. It's not in your design. And so, what you have to do is just every day claim your worth, claim your worthiness, and trust that what you're putting out is of value to others. That's it. So, stop overworking and worrying about whether or not it's worthwhile or that you're worth it or that it's worth it. Trust that that is so. Now, that is a lot easier said than done, but that is the work that I am embracing in my life. So that has been huge. That one thing has actually helped me relax so much and go, oh my gosh, yeah, I've been doing this and I'm not going to do it anymore. So I am really excited about combining the things that I've been doing all along, my understanding of trauma and of mental health, alongside my expertise in writing, and combining that with my new understanding of human design and the deep study that I'm doing of it, and my certification in the Akashic Records. I'm excited to put all of those things together and to do it in a simple, specific, and spiritual way that allows me to do the thing that is most important, and that is reclaim more of my time. Because, as I said, I have been going around trying to prove myself in all of these ways. And so I haven't had the time that I've wanted or needed to work on my most important projects. I just have not had it. I have given it away, or I have frittered it away, or I haven't been wise in how I've done it, how I've done things. So, number one, I want to claim more of my time. And then this was something that a friend of mine, Brett Will Taylor, who is an incredibly uh, insightful person, said to me, if you are going to carve out more time for yourself, you need to know what you're going to do with that time. And his invitation was to divert more of it to my writing time. And that is my plan. And it's really important for me to do this because as a coach, I always want to be walking my talk. I don't want to tell you to do something that I'm not willing to do for myself. And so that's why I'm going through this process. I'm really doing this to be of high service to all of you because as I set myself free, I also set you free in the process. All right. So how is that going to work? So when I thought about my pivot and thinking about how do I do things in a way that is more spiritual and more specific, some of the things I'm going to be doing are Akashic Records readings for writers. And during those readings, we can play in the records and play around with your story. This is something that I did with someone, and we were able to come up with this fun and exciting structure for her book that we wouldn't have been able to think of otherwise. And that was a lot of fun. We can also look at blocks that you might be having that are getting in the way of your writing, or we can look at what's been holding you back. There are a lot of different ways that we can work with that, and I'm really excited to do that work. I'm also looking to create this course called Human Design for Writers. I am so excited about this work because here's how it's working for me right now. By understanding people's human design, I am able to customize the coaching that I do in an even more specific and special way for people because I understand how they operate. And so I can think of all of the strategies that I know. And yeah, I know a lot of strategies, but I often filter them through the way that I do things. And now I can say, yeah, the way you do things is similar to how I do it. And so here are some things that might work. And for others, like, no, your way of operating is different. And here's what might work for you, even if it will never work for me. And so I'm really excited about doing that work for people and empowering them through that process. Remember, I told you, I figured out I don't have to prove myself. And that just took a whole lot of effort off my plate right there. And that's something I look forward to doing for people as they are going through their writing lives. I'm also really excited to continue to build safe and sacred containers for people who can do this transformational writing work. I've been doing this for years now, and it is something that brings me so much joy. And I have watched writers bloom and blossom in ways that I it's not that I didn't see possible, but I didn't see coming, right? It was been exciting to see all of the things that happen just from doing that work. And that work is so much fun and it is so life-giving and I'm going to say magical. And so if you have been in one of these classes and you have experienced this magic, I would love it if you would share a comment on YouTube or you can put it on Apple Podcast or Spotify, just to talk about how that has changed your life. Because I know that it has changed people's lives because it is the work that has changed my life. And I know that it helps people be freer. So I'm excited to continue to do that work and to offer that to people. And I'm super excited also that I have this collaboration coming up with Jane Friedman for 2026. I'm not going to talk about what it is now, but you'll be hearing about it later this year and next year. And I'm super excited about that as well because I recognize when I think about all of the people that I serve, some people are going to be really excited about the Akashic Records or human design or some of these other ways that I work. But then there are some people who are like, I just want the nuts and bolts. I just want this writing expertise that you have. And I'm going to share that in some interesting and fun ways next year. And I'm super excited again about that. So, those are some of the things that I will be up to and that I'm up to right now. And in order to do this, and this was part of the scary part, I had to think about what am I willing to give up and what am I going to commit to giving up? And just saying that in May just made my whole body feel tense. And saying it even now feels tense, but I'm trusting that it is right because I know deep down it is in alignment with my soul's purpose and with the best ways that I can support all of you. So, number one, I'm giving up whole manuscript evaluations. And I'm actually training other people to do this work. And I have two highly capable, trauma informed writing coaches who are working under my supervision, who are learning how to do this work. And I'm supervising them. So I'm offering them feedback. But I am offering this to them so that I can do some of this bigger work. I will still do book proposals. I love book proposals, so I still will be doing some of that work. But what I do in that area in terms of manuscript evaluations is changing because there are other ways that I can serve you that I will say are better ways that I can serve you. Though, if you are interested in feedback, do pay attention to what I'm going to be doing with Jane Friedman because that opportunity will be something you may be interested in. I'm also going to have my supervisees on the podcast so that we can have roundtable discussions on writing. And I'm not going to say all of the ways that this might serve you, but I think you're going to be really excited about the opportunities that it might open up for you in terms of how we can be more interactive with the podcast. And then here's the other thing related to the podcast. I have loved every single interview that I have done with all of the wonderful writers that I have had the chance to meet and support. And I will continue to do some of that, but I'm going to limit how much of it I do. And I'm going to instead be doing more solo episodes. And here's the reason why. When we talk about me knowing that I'm doing too much or having so much work to do, when I do an interview, I am reading the entire book and I am preparing all of this information on my guest. And that can take me between 8 and 10 hours to do. And that is a lot of time. And it has been a passion project. And like I said, I will continue to do that. But I know that doing a different interview every week is not sustainable. So I'm going to be spacing those out and you're going to be getting more of me. And so if there are things that you really want me to talk about, things that you are interested in learning more about, please share that as a message to me. Put it on YouTube and add it as a comment so that I know what is truly going to serve you, because I care about being of high service to you as I make this change and that the content fits what you're looking for. So that is what I have been up to. And that is the story of my pivot. And I'm going to wrap some of this up and then share a final note with you. And so here's what I want to start with. I talked in the beginning about being the stone and how the stone creates ripples. And that is the change that you can make in the world. That Mother Teresa quote. Sometimes you are the stone that's in the right pond, and sometimes you are not. Right. And sometimes you are tossing that stone into the water in a way that's not creating the ripples you're looking for. I want you to take a moment to think about where you are. Are you in the best aligned place? Or is it time to pivot? And if it's time to pivot, how are you going to go ahead and do that? So think about that right now. Are you in the right place? Are you working on the right project? And if not, why? And you don't have to have judgment around it, but just ask yourself that question. And if you have not clearly defined what you're doing as a writer, now might be the best time to do it. This can help your author platform. It can help you think about articles you might write. It can help you with so many parts of the writing process. My guiding principles were simple, specific, and spiritual. You might love those, but if you don't, what are 3 words that you could use that could serve as a guiding principle for the work that you do? And deep down, if you know it's time to pivot, how can you use these guiding principles to support that work so that you are course correcting in a way that is intentional and empowered? As you do this work, I want you to get really clear about claiming who you are in the biggest possible way, and also be brave about what you are willing to give up in order to be in alignment with the truest purpose that you have and the highest vision of who you are. As you're doing this, also think about what logo or symbol you could use that can serve as that external version of your inner compass, and how you can create a tagline that also helps you do this work. And when you're thinking about this, I also want you to think about how you can hold space for the fears that might naturally come up, because change is scary. It's scary because you're walking into the unknown. And our brains do not like that. They like certainty. They like the known. And yet, when you walk into the unknown, you can also walk into the incredible, the amazing, and the unexpected in a very positive and wonderful way. So how can you hold space for all of that? I am actually going to create a bonus article for my paid Substack subscribers that will add some deeper information on how you can do this. So I'm going to share a little more of my process as that bonus, again, for paid subscribers. So if you want to become a subscriber of my newsletter, you can go to lisacooperellison.substack.com. The link will be in the show notes for you to do that. And if you are a paid subscriber, you will get this additional information, and there are going to be some incredible bonuses that my paid subscribers get over the coming year. So this will not be the only one. So now I started off with a little vulnerability around this thing I knew I was doing, around trying to prove myself. And as I wrap up this episode, I'm getting back to that heart-centered peace. And I just want to say that, I've been excited about this change, and this change has brought up all of those fears, all of that urge to prove myself. And I'll be honest with you, not changing feels a hell of a lot safer and easier because the status quo has been working for the most part, at least externally. Has it always worked for me in terms of my own time and my energy? No, it hasn't. But at least on the outside, it's looked pretty good. And so it's scary to do this and to do it in such a public way, because I know that some of you may not want to go on this journey with me, and I have to accept that that's okay because I want you to do what is fully aligned for you. And maybe some of that is the story that I tell myself, or these deeper fears of like, oh my gosh, maybe you're not enough, or what you offer isn't good enough. And again, I'm trusting that it is enough. That is why I am doing this episode. Because one thing this work has taught me is that if I don't go on my own path and I don't trust this, not only am I not going to be happy, I'm not going to be my full self. And when I think back to the fact that at one point in my life, I had Lyme disease, which turned into Lyme and mold and Epstein-Barr and this long drawn out illness, is that being out of alignment in my purpose and in what I'm doing doesn't just harm my time or my mental health. It actually affects my body. And I care deeply about my body. And so because I tore my MCL at the beginning of July, this is something I talked about in my previous episode when I was swimming in the ocean, I am using this as an opportunity to pay attention. It's another reason why I am doing this course correct, because I don't have anything to prove. I just have to be of highest service to you and to myself. Because I've also learned that when I am of high service to myself, I am of highest service to the collective. So here's my final word to you. It has been an absolute joy and pleasure to have so many of you as part of my journey. And I look forward to serving all of you even more in new and interesting and exciting ways. And I want to say thank you for being part of this process and for all the ways that you have supported the things that I have done over the years. I cannot begin to tell you how meaningful that has been to me, especially since some of you have been with me for many, many years. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 years, even longer. And that has been such a gift to me. And my deepest wish is for the work that we have done and for the work that we continue to do to set you free. Peace and love and blessings to all of you, my friends. Until next week, I want you to know that you are worth it and that I see all of who you are. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening. I couldn't do this podcast without your support. If you love this episode, here are 3 simple ways that you can keep this show thriving. 1, subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. 2, leave a 5-star review so others can find the show. 3, join my engaged dynamic community by signing up for the Writing Your Resilience newsletter. As a thank you, you'll receive a free copy of Ditch Your Inner Critic, 5 tools to transform self-doubt into self-support. Until next time, remember that your story matters. As you write and connect with the truest, most authentic version, you become not just the writer, but the person you're meant to be. And that, my friends, is the real freedom writing can offer.